Right. I can't see you. That's better. Peace. Peace. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you all had a good day and a strong 7 days. Blessed love, family. Blessed love. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Happy Friday. Greetings, Anu. Greetings, world. Welcome to the reading of the Anu Way Foundations. I am Baba Cruz. This is my cousin, good brother Antonio. We are here to take you on the journey as we enter the sundown. Yeah, picking up from beautiful session that we had last strong with our sisters Deidre and Ahmad Precious, and they were speaking about special ones. And we're going to pick it up and talk about the kingdom. But of course, we're gonna give that cushion time for everybody to come through. All right, loud and clear. Give thanks, Sister Kashia. Amakuya, greetings. Glory, glory, glory day. Greetings, everybody. Hope everyone is having an awesome week. Yeah, man. How did they go? The day was awesome. It was powerful, man. Starting the process of foundation of the business I've been building. It's a productive day. At least I can see it. Yeah. When I saw you today, you were either like this or you were like that. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So giving thanks to the journey, I got to say, definitely, it's been almost a year now since officially I've been welcomed into the covering of ANU. And, the process has certainly restructured my mindset, less idle. There are some polishing areas that I'm definitely working on, but brothers like yourself, our senior, our new brothers, our elders, and even the sisters, it's a lot of inspiration. So certainly, building the process on the journey, man, and the special ones, we're awakening and reclaiming that code that we came with, And definitely share your sentiments. This year it's felt slow and fast at the same time. Yes. You know what I mean? It's like a different sort of time zone. Yes, yes. So as everybody, trickles in, I suppose we can give. Oh, greetings, Naya. Peace. Yes, yes, Naya. Yeah. So I guess we can get started with the reading. Okay. Okay. So the kingdom. The term kingdom refers to the sphere of control of a particular family. Because there are many families on the earth, there lies the potential for many kingdoms. A king is a patriarch. Within the term king, you see the word kin. The word kin transliterates to family. Looked up at the page and lost my space. All right, give thanks. The word kin transliterates to family, and it even refers to that which is given birth to or relates to a certain nature or race. The term king refers to the forerunner of a species or group. The dom in kingdom refers to jurisdiction of judgment and statute. The reference to a jurisdiction of a dominion in kingdom is an implication of law. The kingdom is the realm in which the progenitor of a family, nature, race enacts and sustains the judgment and dominion of that group. On this planet, we have various kingdoms. For example, we have the plant kingdom, animal kingdom, fungi kingdom, protozoa kingdom, monarchies, nations, and so forth. As divinity undergoing a human journey, we tend not to identify with any kingdom that does not reflect what we consider our progenitor source to be. We typically would not say the animal kingdom rules us or the fungi kingdom rules us unless we were mentally led astray. Some people idolize traits of these kingdoms, so much so that they deify and serve them. We do not. The specification of the Anu is that we reside above and within world religions and nations. What this means is we epitomize the genus or genius that existed when the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Creator of all that is spiritually good and sound. In any gathering of people, there will be a nucleus that represents the solidity of what that gathering drives towards. We recognize that there is value in the assorted world religions and thought systems. The idea of religion is a call to return to the source of what created them prior to their making. Some are comprised of a temporal source, while others are comprised of a divine cradle. If the source of your creation is wicked, your religion will be wicked. If the source of my creation is righteous, then my religion will be a righteous one. Architects of the righteous exist throughout the world religions. The Anu are the curators of that righteousness. Our kingdom is an opportunity to restore the greatest examples of whatever spiritual doctrines that have been distributed throughout the world. We are the sentinels and caretakers of spiritual deep thought. As Anu, we are not looking for stability and glorification in what the secular design urges us to. We recognize that our greatest merit is in our ability to root and move with a call of reformation. In order to enjoy the benefits of that kingdom, of the kingdom of Anu, we must be doers of this great information and not just orators of it. It is in the doing that we model and construct that prodigious work right before the eyes of our progenitors and those who need to see it most. We are the agents of change within our own predicaments. There exists high functioning individuals that are scattered and dispersed throughout the world and galaxy. These individuals are born with a spiritual sensitivity and innate moral code. Usually, few around them see any use in. There is training and development that occurs in those with this special kernel of truth and first eye awareness. The battle is always with us. Much of our training involves moving beyond the victim temperament. We must serve judgment upon ourselves in order to truly be vessels of the great spirit that we have been endowed with. We do not judge as all people do. However, our verdict is guided by the thought, words, and intentions of the Most High. The first judgment is on ourselves. The first private ruling is a righteous call to evolve. In this kingdom, you will find those who were high functioning Hebrew Israelite, Muslim, Buddhist, or Moifa, Nation of Gods and Earth members, Rastafarian, and more. We recognize that the passage of many has caused them to be dispersed among diverse nations. We must turn our face to the Most High Creator to provide a redemption towards our original call and purpose for even being created. The repentant path to the Almighty is a narrow path. 1 out of 100 will even hear this call. This is why when you share Anu communication with your friends and relatives, most of them do not take it. These teachings are encoded with a spirit and frequency that only natural born Anu can grasp.
Yes, yes. Family, especially for that line, I'm sure if you're in this space, most of you can relate to that. There are many times that we would express information, and of course, information is different than knowledge. For those who've been following any of Chief's work, know that that is something that he hits home. You can be filled with information, but the enacting of information and an application in your daily life is what actually brings it forth to knowledge. It goes straight over people's minds when we start talking about grounding ourselves in areas such as character being the only thing that's requisite. I'll recommend that those of you who are listening who haven't checked it out, Chief did a segment a couple of years ago. It's actually titled that Character is the Only Thing Requisite. And I'll go ahead and continue with the reading on this path before we actually start getting into the dialogue a little more. This true frequency transcends race, nation, age, and gender. It does not mean that those formations of life are ignored. We are different externally because we are different internally. We are all created uniquely because of what we all inimitably need and are distinctly required to do in the service of the kingdom of Anu. Our single mindedness is on doing what the chief commandments of the paramount divine intelligence tells us. In many instances, we will refer to this intelligence as Yah. This does not mean that we are Christians. It is important to study and know the historical origins of the terms that we use. It is more important to apply the virtue of what we study so that we are operative on the truth and not collecting knowledge so that we may function and live from our opinion. Focus on concept more than terminology. The evidence that is provided throughout this text represents the culture of the Anu kingdom. The, the actuality of the precise way to function is our way. Words from the Creator needs no reinterpretation or interjection of your opinion. If you can tune into the frequency of what is being presented and live it, then there is a place for you in the kingdom. If vain opinion takes hold in your psyche over submission to the plan of the people from heaven, then you will find your home in one of the world kingdoms. Mental meandering and misguidance permeate much of the world organisms. As Anu, we scrutinize the dwelling places within us that errant ideas and spirits would seek to find their home in. We do not celebrate what the secular world celebrates. Correction. We do not worship what or whom the secular environment does. We seek not to mix in with those of a material mindset as they have driven themselves far away from the natural laws that keep us calibrated to the Most High Creator of all things boundless. Timing and life rhythm are imperative. The beast world will always seek to disrupt the scope of time that has been designed by our paramount divinities in order to keep us aligned with what keeps us distinguished between the world and our divine parents. Sometimes we contract with the contrived wickedness of the world because we seek to do things that appease our own desires and opinions. It's always key to remember that religion rests inside of a culture. Culture will determine how you rejoin yourselves to your source. The culture will even help to frame what your source is actually measured to be. In many mystical and religious systems, the norm of those institutions is reflective of what the norms of the societies are that they assemble inside of. For instance, if a temple sits inside of a democratic society, then usually temple decisions will be voted on. If the spiritual experience nestles inside of the capitalistic society, then you may find that the ministries promote the ideas of plenty recurrently. When this happens, the spiritual transformation becomes subject and recessive to the molding that the larger society is performing. This is a reversal of the natural process that a spiritual nucleus should kindle. The spiritual kingdom that we are entering and intimately connected to should come first. Our presence in the community is a continual act of turning away from a lawless and spiritualist humanity and a redirecting to the way and walk of the Most High and the kingdom that has been provided for us. Cultural indoctrination of world societies characteristically urge us to turn all of our energy and adoration inward. We are taught to control our destinies without the presence of a higher spiritual mind. We are told to prepare for the curses of the world by way of insurance, surplus fiat currency, coffers full of painkillers, and more. All of this is to remove our reliance upon life force and fashion a mind that makes us fancy that we are the sole orchestrator of our success or failures. These are the cultural traditions of a secular society. The feel good, self affirming pursuits for abundance, celebrity idolatry, and incessant entertaining of many spiritual organizations are only reflections of their aspirations of corroboration by secular standards. They are not striving to be set apart and distinguished as blameless people. Anu strives for spiritual regality, sanctification, and the perpetual walk that accompanies the discovery of our soul roots. We chosen labor so that the eyes of our understanding can be opened and we can become members of the Commonwealth of Anu. Our teachings are the prescribed thought and action that must be adapted. In order to distinguish the opposition of the world, we must be able to recognize the original plan that the Creator established for the righteous line. The profane world seeks to remove the Creator from creation in order to remake society and individuals within it. Self idolatry is one of the tools of this wicked objective. Now,
Yeah,
the kingdom. I think if you've ever heard anything powerful up to this point, that is it. That
Hmm.
is, it's a lot of weight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that definitely requires, as it says in the preface, multiple reads. There's a lot in there. And there's a lot that jumped out at me as we were reading through it that hadn't jumped out at me when we were reading it um, in sessions prior, whether together or separately. And one of the things that did jump out at me, I think Chief spoke of this on one of his lives, but it hit home again. The spirit that a culture, the culture that a spiritual system resides in is going to take on, that spirit. As said earlier on the previous page, that if you have a spiritual system or religion sitting inside of a democratic society, then all the decisions are going to be voted on. As opposed to if it's in a capitalistic society, they're going to speak to abundance and wealth. You know what I mean? It's a double whammy if it's a capitalistic and democratic society. So everybody's going to vote on what's going to make the most money
True,
instead of
true,
what's most righteous.
true, true. You know, and if you've been following and not a part of ANU at this point, you will notice something that hits very strongly home in Kingdom. Looking at what you're actually binding yourself to as far as your kin is character development. There is and has to be a certain character that one manifests, grows into, and adapts that is completely separate and apart, is actually less than the one percenter. And there are certain ways that we should walk if we're looking to take on the mind that will be reflective of that of which is actually sent us forth. And off of that point now, what I'd like us to do is actually move into declaration of truths because this actually will hit home a little more. I'll start.
Sure. First, I'd like to welcome everybody into the space. See
Yes,
everybody
yes,
piling in.
yes.
Peace, me, myself, and I. Peace, Sovereign Eats. Peace, Alex Lagon. Peace, Ricochet. Peace to the Chief.
Yes,
Peace,
yes, yes.
Cree. I think that's Cree Shun. I'm not sure. But peace nonetheless. Um, Apologies, guys. Go
No,
ahead.
man, you're good, you're good, you're good. So now we move into declarations of truths. Our duty, we Anu, are required to educate the masses, turning them towards the kingdom of the Most High. Our role and calling is to model and teach of godly civilization and regality to anyone not engaged in the sacred work of hallowed perfecting. In our current dispensation, we have not set out to wake up the masses, but rather minister those who are striving to stand tall in their present awakening and live out the truest directions of the Anu path. We recognize that many are peacefully asleep and will remain encased within their dream. The Most High, the Most High Yah, is the maximum conceptualization of our transcendent cognizance. We are the demonstrations of the Creator, often referred to by title as God. You may wonder why not use one of the many titles of the Almighty found in the various systems they
That, that we
that
can.
sorry, yeah, that we extrapolate from. Correctional. The secret will be revealed when you are ready. Recognize that the concept of what is called Hebrew and what is named Yah are what we need in this dispensation for our recovery. Concept over terminology. As the manifestations of the highest power, we disjoint a portion of our spirit from ourselves to become personalized reflections. Some will call this consciousness the soul. However, we recognize that the soul is reflected on earth, but not contained on the planet earth. We are obedient to the ways of Yah, the Most High, and accept that in our depth we possess the same gene as our Elohim. We will surrender ourselves to the Most High Elohim to regain our place within the soul communal of the Creator. Anu are not self idolaters. Structure. We are a movement. Our movement must have an overseeing Jagna, lesser Jagna, educators, and those who evangelize and declare to the public on our behalf. We nurture the gifts and talents of all members for the purpose of edifying the Anu kingdom under the dominion of the Most High. Men, women, and children all have distinct responsibilities within this undertaking. Their ages also mandate an additional level of authority and answerability.
Hierarchy. We are a patriarchal cooperative. We identify the potential of men to function as earthly representatives of our celestial parental vitalities. The order of authority travels from Yah to man to woman to children. Matriarchy does exist inside of Anu and is headed by the patriarchal order. As the man receives light, instruction, and configuration from the Almighty, those blessings are then poured and fostered into the basin of the woman. It is the sacred duty of the wedded woman to reproduce that light and direction of her own man into the children of the homestead and group, along with anyone else under the governing of the master of the homestead. Women are to teach children and minor women. We see the heterosexual man as the alpha position within our community. The heterosexual female is his viceroy. We acknowledge that the natural union of mating occurs between the natural born man and the natural born woman. We hold that those of elder status, we hold those of elder status to hold more authority than those of junior status. For example, even if someone is 3 years older, they would consider their contemporary. The individual who has an age addition of 3 years holds additional authority based on the increased time that they have endured on the planet. So again, we'll
Yes.
go over the hierarchical rule of the community. It goes from the Elohim to the elder man to the elder woman, to the woman, and then to the children.
Children.
So hopefully the screen isn't too blurry.
Yeah, bring it back just a little.
Let's see. I'm not sure if they can see that.
Yeah, apologies. We don't have the screen shares set for you all, but most of you should have the document via PDF form that you should be able to follow through.
Okay. Kinship is next. Want me to
Yeah,
continue?
yeah.
Or,
I'll go.
okay.
Okay. Kinship. We do not claim kinship with anyone based solely on geographical commonality, genotype, or phenotype traits. I'll repeat that. Kinship. We do not claim kinship with anyone based solely on geographical commonality, genotype, or phenotype traits. We identify that we are all indicators of an energetic phenomenon called life. This great energy moves with innovative sovereignty. Life searches the probabilities of creation by becoming as many forces as it can imagine to. The revered explorer intellect accounts for the multitudinous manifestations of planet life, sea life, humankind, and so on. All perceived in this realm are materializations of life energy. Our kinship are defined by the conscious rebirthing and devoted work into Anu culture and mission. I'll say that part again. Our kinship is defined by the conscious rebirthing and devoted work into Anu culture and mission. We accept our natural blood family as the biological pathway that we choose to course through. However, our spiritual families become our most real kin when we rebirth into our novel divine selves. We make the distinction between who, what we are related to, and who our genius family is. Our family starts with our natural pair mating and then expands to our broods. Sorry. Reformation. We declare that healing and deliverance are dispensable parts of the Reformation that is obligatory. As a consequence of our sojourn through the constitution, human continuation, we are being reshaped and reformed into the imageries that we originally intended to be before we existed, in physical form on the planet. In order to regain our boundless form, submission to the creator of original intention is required. Our safari through this biosphere of humanity provides a frequency of innumerable experiences that provide us with the wisdom that we feed back into the attention of the Most High. As we gather wisdom, we also are renovated by those experiences. Our goal is to maintain our originating divine consciousness whilst exploring the mind changing experience of earthly existence. Our objection and joy are found in the strength of our virtuous calibration with the supreme divinity of every past, present, and future moment. Sources. We study truth filled congruences held in spirit picked holy scripture and law. There are consistent streams of thought that run through the similar spiritual religious systems, as those with Anu genetics. The wisest of us have the sacred gift of exploration. This gift is bestowed for those who Yah has chosen to restore the first priesthood order.
Here is a small sample of some of the systems that we have been instructed to study and why. Hebrew scripture. Hebrew scripture gives us a method to existing in harmony. We create, predict world events, to existing in harmony, create, predict world events, and fellowship within our community and our Creator in the most dignified way. This includes the Holy Bible, Apocrypha, Book of Mormons, and other lost books. Islam provides us with excellent models to achieve peace and moral submission. 120 provides us with methods of mathematically deciphering the patterns that exist in the cosmos, planet, and within our own interior. Ifa provides us with methods of divining and situational interpretation. Orisha teaches us how to connect with nature and employ their understanding of nature as means of character development. Hindu, Buddhist philosophy provides us a means of superior meditation and connecting our thoughts, emotions, and body. Metaphysics helps us to stay in tune with the metacognition that is necessary to see the abstract ideas shared in sacred teachings. This is a small portion of some of the systems that we study and what we pulled from them with intensity. We notate the noblest lessons from all in order to perform the will of the Most High with the greatest efficiency. No book is infallible. Many ancient books that have been reprinted have omissions and even perversions. We must study for ourselves. Islam, Hebraic studies, and Ifa are our cornerstones and not foreign to our doctrine. We are not bound to books. We are tethered to the culture that draws us closest to the creator of the universe. We admit that there are bastardized offshoots that erroneously stem from all of these systems. We do not capitalize on offshoots, but rather grasp certainty at its seed. We do not conserve the waste products of our secular journeys, but dutifully submit ourselves under the supreme and the requisite laws, statutes, and commandments. Life and death. Life does not begin with physical manifestations. All things that are experienced with the senses of taste, touch, smell, and sight, and hearing are but extensions of an unseen preceding cause. Life is not ours to own. It is a privileged dispensation to be experienced to the amplest borders of our inner visions. Some earthlings come with a prior cognition and mission to be carried out in the physical scope.
Continuing, the manner in which we live out life is a reflection of how we have experienced life in a previous form. Our deaths will echo the same pattern. Anu acknowledges that death is the gateway to a different life and that the next arrangement of life is determined upon the focus of our conscious activity in our present incarnation. We are the utterance of the Most High in corporality, proceeding to become wiser and assure its existence via the explorative challenge of imperfection. As the Creator is eternal, we are also everlasting. We move through perpetual cycles of hell or heaven depending on the choices that we make. Judgment. Judgment is the reward or punishment of the deeds we have performed. If we are filled with the nature of the Creator, then we will receive a prosperous judgment. If we choose to live unjust, untransgress the divine law provided to us by the Creator, we will be judged harshly. We acknowledge that we are living in the dispensation when the sentencing of the nations has already begun, and the curses of spiritual waywardness are being witnessed across the globe. Geography. As Anu, we recognize that we do not have a true origin on the planet. We began before solid matter. We are cosmic sovereignty. We do not limit our worldview to the noted historical patterns of a particular landmass, government, social order, or planetary concept. We settle where it is wisest to and develop the best constituents of the land we choose to reside on. We are not worshippers. We are not worshippers in subordination to nature or nature spirits. However, we accept that we are most powerful and protected in the wild. Natural environments that have been left unmolested by the manicuring hand of man are where we extract inordinate lessons and countless strengths. We do not desire to live in city environments or any metropolis. The Anu are here to support nature in evolving and live in synchronization with it. Our teachings can be seen confirmed in natural surroundings. Calendar. We base our calendar on biological events. It is best that we live in an environment where we can witness with our own eyes celestial proceedings. In this, we do not have to blindly trust the news provided to us by those who are not members of our group.
Displaced. We consider ourselves to be spiritually and culturally displaced as a result of our ancestral account of morally defiant social engineering. We are gathering unto ourselves and adjoining ourselves with the dominant insight that we hail. Our supplanting is necessitous to our rise. None can lay claim to our work of, or genius but the high consciousness. We encourage living in a way that is sanctified, prestigious, and set apart from the non spiritual environment. We are, we are at a point in historic timeline that freedom must be implemented by way of free thinking and removing the shackles of a cursed identity. Nations have identities, and all nation states are to be judged by their actions. We identify as the Anu nation and realize that we have experienced the subjugation of our open enemies, but we declare the right to maintain our spiritual righteousness and restoration of our celestial parentages. The adoration and deification of a strange culture is a sign of spiritual madness. We hold to the peace that Anu culture provides and the contrast it confers so that we can see the clean from the unclean and the unrighteous from the righteous.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, family. You know, it's very easy at times to pretty much become confused off of the direction we should take. Should we do this? Especially, for those of us who may have been seeking for a while. But what I will say to you is, when philosophically it was introduced to me in my homestead personally, um, the concept of being Hebrew and following that way of life based on the laws and commandments given to us from the tenets of Deuteronomy and the Levitical order from Leviticus, it made so much sense. When you think about meat consumption, certain types of meat, I'll just keep it there and playing because that's always a big topic when it comes to nutrition. Um, Besides just the fact of it being more peaceable to the body temple. If you think about the cleanliness of it, if you think about the way we clean our homes, if we think about the way we interact with each other, being clean and unclean, everything then starts to actually make sense as far as lifestyle choices. Then you start to actually scrutinize your very steps. And by the scrutinization of it, or the scrutiny of it rather, you will start to actually bring yourself into alignment with your trueness is. You are less stressed, your thoughts are clearer, you have a healthier temple. And I know on a couple of different occasions, we've even actually allowed ourselves to unravel more time. For instance, this is the Sabbath. My life and journey, I've never actually observed the Sabbath until in the recent months. May would have been when I started actually. Again, it starts to make sense. Creating a time of sacredness, structuring your affirmations in the morning. Chief gave us a series of 40 plus days with the Command the Day sessions, and it all still brings us back into this alignment of the culture that we choose. But the first thing is actually starting to get your mind right.
Sure, sure. And what you touched on is a big part of it. living cleaner, moving according to these laws. I know personally, uh, I have a similar experience with the Shabbat in terms of, just starting out, but it made me realize how cluttered my life was with daily activities. And to the point where I was realizing that on a subconscious level, it was intentional. I wanted to keep myself busy. I wanted to distract myself from what I should have actually been doing. So that pausing, um, it allowed me to reflect and recalibrate and reposition myself in order to align with what I'm supposed to be doing, as opposed to keeping myself busy in order to not feel bad about not being productive. You know what I mean? And Chief spoke about pride. The type of pride that you have, that you adopt in order to not feel bad.
Yep.
You do good things not because they're good, because you don't want to feel bad about not doing the right thing.
True.
You know what I
True.
mean? What you were speaking to about before about just receiving that call. You know what I mean? What we spoke about a chapter or two ago. Everybody, like, only 1 out of 100 people will even hear the call, and even fewer people answer. You know what I mean? So this is like your sister said in the last call. This we're looking for the special ones, and as we continue to clean up our way of life and the way that we move, um, we can see the ones who are actually committed and the ones who may have heard it, liked it, but don't necessarily want to change. And just want to welcome everybody else into the space who joined. Sister Deidre, welcome. Shalom to Brother Jonathan Santano, to Alma Sequoia. Peace to Alma Precious. My name is Precious. Peace to Sister Shamanique. Um, Chief says, what would you say to those who say the following? Claiming to be Hebrew is a step backwards for those who have left the Christian religion for spirituality. Are you saying that they should return to church? No. I'm saying that there's a spiritual lineage that we have basically been steered away from claiming. And the spirituality piece is like a part of the puzzle that we sort of magnify. Like, if you take the example of, I don't know, narcotics, certain narcotics, you have the leaf itself, that cocoa leaf, that if you make cocoa leaf tea, you're not really going to get a high from it. But if you take it and emulsify it and you extract certain nutrients out of it and just concentrate those nutrients, then you have certain narcotics to where, it's a rush, just to get that in its small nutrient, but you don't have the full matrix of what it's supposed to be. And I think the what do I want to say, the comparison is almost exact when it comes to spirituality and leaving that churchical mindset to where it's almost like the lesser of two evils. Where do you want gonorrhea or you want syphilis? So you have to see the bigger picture, and I think that to focus on one or the other is very narrow-minded. So it's good to sort of zoom out a bit. And as we read earlier, the Hebrew, the moniker and the title of Hebrew, and the name that we refer to the Most High as of Yah is what we need in this time, but it's not necessarily the end all be all of our whole spiritual journey. So that's what I would say to that.
True. True. And just to build on that, pardon the wiping my nose. One of the things that was mentioned when we were reading the text earlier was looking at the source of the terms, right? And understanding where a lot of the observations actually came from. There's something that Chief always used to say in some of his older segments for the intro, is that he's just assisting us with getting our power back. All right. And think about that philosophy and think about the setting of a church. In most cases, it's more of a dictatorship. There's never any encouragement for the building. Now, just kind of rewinding to the foundation of the question as far as it being a step backwards. The first time we had the term Hebrew being mentioned in the sacred text, whether it be if you apply the Holy Bible, the Torah, or the Quran, would be the journey with Abraham. And it says that Abraham was actually greeted after he was seeking the face of the one true God and he fought a war to get his nephew back. He was met by the king of Salem, hence Jerusalem. This king, who was also a high priest of the one true God, his name was Melchizedek. And from there on, after that passage of time, Abraham was then considered to be a Hebrew, and his connection and communication with God started to increase. But if you think about the context of the interaction, Melchizedek was the high priest order. For instance, those who are in Ifa, when they go to see a Babalawo and they will consult, they will seek the wisdom of those with higher ascended knowledge and connectivity. What Where would we find that difference? Now, here it is. Now, you have a platform that's being handed to you that's tried and proven. There is no delusion about the way of life, there is no delusion about the principles. But on the other side, where it may not be the laws and tenets of a particular lifestyle and the scrutiny of one's family life and the scrutiny of one's community, then you find it to be a lot shaky. So you can look at it just on the surface without getting esoteric, without getting into the etymology of the words. You can see the difference. Over here, where churches, where there is no principle, there is no law, is shaky. You have people wearing baseball caps in church now. You have people who may be supporting same-sex relations. They're the ones leading flocks now. These are all the tenets, according to their philosophies, that are incorrect. But the original source, which is the Hebraic system, that is being offered in the laws. And it's saying to you now, in this dispensation of time, these laws should be adhered to, but we are not moving away from these applications, which are the other things mentioned, which I won't go into when it speaks about Ifa, when it speaks about Hindu and Buddhism and so on. So to consider the step back when the glossary is actually in front of you as to why it's being applied, those people, they are being misguided by the beast. That is the same hamster wheel that Tonio was speaking about earlier. Um, you're making accommodations for things that really do not balance, and I know before I start rambling and moving all the way from the question and start applying more external situations, but definitely on a very surface level, to think that the two shouldn't go together again is a disconnection from reality.
Right. Something that you said made me think about what Chief would often admonish us to do which is to really establish who you're speaking to. Like the types of people who would ask that question, A, they would either have some sort of beef with the Christian church, or B, they would have a sense of pride in terms of, well, I have spirituality now, so I'm no longer a slave, but you're a slave because you're still in that building. The chief has mentioned, like, you could look at a piece of kale, study that piece of kale for like 10 years, and you can, sort of see the connection to the divine. So the system itself may not be the main issue. The issue is the culture and the character of the people who exist inside of that system, or that system exists inside of. And that's where it starts to get warped, and people start trying to change rules and saying that, oh well, it says that, but it doesn't really mean that, or this was a different, time dispensation. It's 2021 now. Do you, you know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
very it's a very fine line that you walk, because we're dealing with the concept over the um, terminology and terminology, the concept over the terminology. And when you're really studying these systems, you can extrapolate, like Barbara Cruz was saying earlier. That's one of the gifts that we have. You can extrapolate the wisdom from it.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're in spirituality or whether you're in Christian church, the chief has said many times, if you got a dirty, rotten spirit, doesn't matter how truthful you think that religion or spiritual system is, your character is going to ruin it for you.
True, true. And as we started to wind down the process, because we know that the Sabbath is underway fully now. sun should be down in most time zones along the eastern seaboard and even in central. I'll navigate back to the beginning of Kingdom where the example of family is concerned. And for those who remember some of the old high school class when we spoke about where it's speaking about creation all the way to the ordering aspect. And I'll turn now into the 14 keys. And as says, that everything is used purposefully. On page 33, there is the topic of order or the subsection of order. And I'll take from paragraph one a section in paragraph five. It says, order is a procedure of arrangement. It is the differentiation and compartmentalization of higher energy into lower energy. Consider the process of narrowing and converging a collection of thoughts into a single idea. This is exactly what we're talking about now on the surface level, right? Once the thought high energy is focused into a physical action, lower energy, that action or physical embodiment will be imbued with only the determined idea. So let's look at law. Let's look at everything we've been discussing to this point. Our objective in this process is to be a true reflection what the highest potentials are for our physical being to contain with the manifestation of Yah, the Almighty, here on earth. Paragraph 5. Once definition befalls, that essence is buckled in a veil of order. This is not to say that order is a detrimental thing. Order helps us to define and question our potential. So now we move into what our potential is. Now, off of that, I'll step back, but I'm excited about the next levels of reading. And all of us would have read it already, but the vision. The vision. Chief has done a number of segments on vision and mission statement, but especially for men, whether you're in ANU or not, look up some of the segments on mission, family mission statement. I think was one of the more detailed ones. But what is your vision? What is the vision for your family? Most importantly, why do you have that vision? What is actually inspiring that?
Yeah, man, full joy. How are we time wise?
Okay, right now we're 45 minutes into it. So off of that note, family, we will begin to sign off. Is there any final words that you want to say?
I had something in mind.
Okay.
But it's gone now.
Yeah, man. You got to forgive us. There's a bug floating, and we had some weather set, and we're all the way in the Bahamas. So weather changes tend to trigger allergies and set colds in motion. So we're doing a lot of moving before we settled in for the Sabbath. But certainly, everyone, I want to encourage you all as assistants for the work and the reading that we're doing. Read the book of Deuteronomy. Start to understand what the laws are, what the blessings are, most importantly, and what the curses are as a result of moving away from what the required lifestyle is for us to navigate down the path of to actually start to reform our mind. Chief did a Sabbath session with us. That will be 2 Sabbaths now, and he posted the highlights of that discourse to it on YouTube. It's titled Pride. Brother Tonio made reference to it about maybe 10 minutes ago. I'd encourage anybody to sit down, get your pen and paper out, start breaking that down. The ANU spiritual training touches on the senses, which we'll mention a couple of pages into this dialogue, and it starts to actually speak a little more to our levels of manifestation with reference to not just the senses, but how we tie into the elements, how we see things, how we look at things, how we experience the reality. So off of that, family.
Oh, along with that segment on pride, I would also urge you to check out the segment on patriarchal family structure, which was another Shabbat session that Chief has made available to public. So those two, in conjunction, would really help with understanding and understanding the segments that we covered today.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you really want to get more into ANU thought, process, and calculation, in short order, the applications will be available for you to submit and see if we could ride, see if we could move with the wave together. Can we move within those sacred angles together?
And of course, all that information is always will be available in the description below.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Any parting words of wisdom?
Parting words of wisdom. As Chief would say, get the book. Get the book. We have solutions for dysfunctional family relationships. We have the 14 keys, our guiding principles. Man, love the 14 keys, man. Shrine and altar, grasping the root of divine power. Online, Noah Mail, Mind Heart Words, Yanu Way. And it's an archive of knowledge and information. And we will let you take advantage of it. There's enough food for you that will keep you occupied for years. It's life changing, man. It's life changing.
Yeah. And I would just say some words that are very overlooked, but I'd like you to think about them. But be kind to yourself and respect yourself. I'll leave you to dwell on that and what that means. But give thanks to all. Shabbat Shalom, family. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Peace, peace. Enjoy the rest of the evening.